What's going on YouTube? This is Deke, and this is going to be a fun series. We just finished the Wonder Kids, so definitely go back and look at that if you didn't already check those out. I did each position, broke those down. Now what I'm going to do is start with the Austrian Bundesliga and go through every league to get ready for European soccer and our next divisions that are going to be starting. So this is looking at July 15th. So the first three parts of my series are going to be the Austrian Bundesliga, the Swiss Super League, and the Danish Superliga. So these are the three leagues that are starting a little bit earlier than everyone else, July 15th. So we're about a week out from the time of recording. I'm excited. I wanted to do this and go through just to kind of give myself a little bit of more information on each league and hopefully give you some different facts about the league, get you knowing a little bit about each league and some of the players and the teams to look out for in each league. So let's go through last season just real quickly. If you're not sure how the league works, everyone plays each other twice. So 22 total games, and half the top half go to the championship round, the bottom half go to the relegation round. So the championship round is basically playing for the championship and European spots. The relegation round, the top spots are in the playoffs for European spots, so they're not completely out. And then the last team is the only team that is relegated. So here's how the championship round went last year. Salzburg won the league for the 9th time in a row. They dominate the league. It's been like that, again, 9 times in a row. Pretty crazy. And Admira is the team that went down. As you can see the European spots, Salzburg is going to be in the group stage for the Champions League. Third qualifying round for Sturm Graz. Austria Vienna, playoff round for Europa. Conference League, third qualifying round for Wolfsberger and Rapid Vienna. They won the playoff that kind of went on there. And they were joined by these two teams for that playoff. As you can see there, WSG played LASK, and the winner took on Rapid, who ended up winning that. So that's kind of how last year went. If we take a look at the top scorers, Adeyemi is now off out of the league to Dortmund. Vrioni is off to the MLS. He just went to the MLS, New England. And then you have the next highest scorer, Marcus Pink, Manpreet Sarkaria. That's going to be a name that I'm going to bring up again. Jan Sheard has been linked to the MLS. I'm not sure if there's any done deal there. And then you can see the rest of the list there. Top playmakers, Jan Sheard again, Jakob, Stefan Nutz, Noah Okafor, Nicholas Seawall, and Marco Gruel are the rest of there. So let's move on to transfers. As Salzburg are such a great youth academy, they are going to lose players from time to time. Every year it seems like they just churn out more and more players. One of the best academies in the game. So if you take a look here, we have Brennan Anderson, former MLS Philadelphia Union player. He's going to Leeds for a pretty big fee. Adeyemi, as previously mentioned, going to Dortmund. Rasmus Christensen, the right back, is going to Leeds. And they brought in from Monaco Pavlovic, who he was on loan. I'm trying to think so. Is he the guy that was on loan? We'll talk about him in a little bit. I'm not sure exactly what his deal was. They have Fernando coming in from Shakhtar, so he's coming from a league that wasn't covered on Sorare to a league. And also Karim Kunate is coming in, but they already loaned him out. So that's kind of your top transfers, and it's basically all Salzburg as usual. We have Rapid Vienna having Robert Lujovic. Try that. Some of these names are really tough going out. So that's kind of the transfers. What I'm going to start with is I'm going to go through Red Bull Salzburg's team step by step here, kind of just to kind of get you considering what they're actually going to play, what kind of team you're going to see. There's a lot of moving parts, and these are not set in stone, but these are the starters that I think are going to be in the team. So at goalkeeper, Philip Cohn. He had a knee injury last season. But at the tail end, he did play in the last friendly I saw. So although it says here that he still has a knee injury, he should be back. He played the full 90 minutes in the friendly. He's going to be their starting goalkeeper. They play in a 4-1-2-1-2. So 4 in the back. Goalkeeper, I really think he has that on lockdown. If we take a look at the other roster goalies, Nico Mantle, pretty highly priced as well. Last year he filled in. If we go to him, he filled in and did a pretty solid job. Obviously, it's a great position to be in the last 2 with that knee injury. But other than that, he didn't play. If something happens to Cohn, he'll be the guy that you want to be kind of taking a look at. But as you can see here, his price, the floor currently is 0.23, so he's not going to come cheap. As a guy that he plays on a winning squad. As you can see from his scores, a lot of green scores from a goalie. Really solid goalie. If you're looking for a higher price goalie, he would be your guy. Great situation. I just would not pay that amount for a keeper whenever you can get some cheaper options, but are, of course, more risky. So he's the keeper. I think that's pretty locked down in my opinion. Now let's get into some of the other positions. So the captain, Andreas Ulmer, he's turning 37 in October, but he is still a first-choice guy, which is kind of crazy. He is €1, so if you want to kind of milk his last years, you could. He does have some green scores there. Towards the end of the year, he did come on as a sub a little bit. He is basically rotating, in my opinion, with another guy that I'm going to talk about next. So it's at left back. Again, you don't really want to play too many fullbacks anyway. The split here just makes them pretty much unplayable. The guy he shares with is Bernardo, who's a little bit more expensive, 27-year-old. Bernardo, if you take a look at his scores, sporadic playing time, but again, he hits some higher scores because it's a great team. That's why I want to go over kind of like the best team in the division, in my opinion. Well, there's everyone's opinion. Salzburg's definitely the best. But you can kind of see, especially down the stretch here, he put up some really solid scores. And the thing about him that makes him a little bit better than Ulmer is he plays a little bit of center back as well. So he was mixed in at center back. This year, I don't know. He might play a little center back to fill in, but I think they have a lot of options that they're going to rotate through, even with losing some of their center backs. So the big one, as we move over to center back, is Umar Soulé. I thought just from like all the rumors that I thought and I read, I thought he was done deal to Torino, but that isn't completed yet. I would say he's gone, in my opinion. As you can see from this graph, I believe that's when I heard about it too. I thought, oh, Torino, that's going to definitely plummet. But now he's kind of holding steady. Let me know in the comments if you guys know more about the situation. I try to do some more research. I haven't heard any done deals. I heard that AC Milan is also interested, but I don't know how much that is true. You hear about that all the time. But if he stays, he is an absolute stud there. Look at his last run through there. The 178, 77, 90. He is definitely a talent that is going to go to a big club, and he'll be in a rotation position maybe, but he's going to win a starting job. He is a very talented player, and this club just, player after player, just comes out amazing. So I'm going to consider him gone in my depth chart. So our center backs that we're going to talk about, there's 3 that I think are going to rotate through. The first one is Maximilian Wober, about €100 on the price here. He played in 32 starts and 2 subs. As you can see here, some are from Austria, so these scores, I guess he did play really well against Croatia here. But just take a look here, 60, 90, a little bit lower than he had 100 whenever he scored, 80. He scores a lot from the center back position. He had some links. He played a couple matches at left back as well, so he does have a little bit of movement there. He's 24 years old, so he's actually one of the older players in the squad, which is crazy how young the squad and how talented the squad is. The other guy that I think is going to be the starter is going to be the guy that they just brought in. So this is Pavlovich, coming over from Monaco on about a $7 million fee. If you take a look, he was just in Serbia's squad and put up some really nice scores, international. So that's kind of why his price is so high right now. And a lot of people are thinking he's going to be in the starting lineup, which I concur on that. I think he's going to be a starter here, which is a great situation. He was on, I couldn't remember if he was on loan. He was on loan at Basel in the Swiss League, and he was at Monaco but didn't see much time. So as you can see there, Basel's another great situation. We'll get about them in our next video, I'm sure. But you can see kind of his scores. That's probably going to project very similarly if he can win that starting spot in the group of three that I'm not really sure. I would say it's definitely Wober and him as my top two. And then the third option will be Camille Piakowski. He's 22. His price is up there too, 0.0566. He's another guy that, he played a decent amount, 12 starts, 4 subs. He could take that role. Last year, he was part of the squad, and he put up some really nice scores whenever he was in the squad. Again, it'll be very interesting to see how they do it. I think they'll do some rotating, so that's going to be a little bit tricky if you own those players and for the times that they're going to rotate. They will have Champions League, so I'm sure they want to put out their best squad, especially in Champions League, as everyone does. Will they rotate in the league? I'm sure they will. So all three of these guys are definitely playable. They're just a little bit expensive in terms of, great situations, but are they going to be starting? Who knows? So there's ones that once you start seeing how the lineups are shaking up, the prices might go up a little bit, but I would rather wait on that before buying. The only other one that I wanted to talk about at center back was Brian Oko. He had an injury, ruptured ligament last year whenever he was with the Swiss squad. So he was with the Swiss senior team whenever the injury happened as a 19-year-old. So he didn't play throughout the year. He was out for the season. I'm interested to see how he works in. He might be one of those rotation guys if he gets completely healthy. Just someone to keep your eye on. His price is a little bit more expensive for a guy that's never played, in the last year. He was on the bench 5 times, but that's it. So there is opportunity there if Soleil leaves. I assume he is, but that's kind of what we have at center back. So now at right back, Ignace Bremt, I believe, is going to be the starter. It's a flip-flop situation. Will he be the starter or will the next guy be the starter? If you take a look at his price, 72 euros. Last year, played a little center back as well. It seems like everybody almost played a little bit of center back at times last year. But right back is his natural position. He did have some starts last year. And then he came over from Club Brugge before. That's where you see all these scores. But, not great scores. Not a guy that I'm going to really get into. You don't really want to get too many fullbacks on your team. But, I think he's going to fight for that starting position. Will he win it? I don't know. It's going to be him or Amar Didic. So he is 19 years old, turned 20 in August. He was on loan at Wolfsberger last year. And as you can see, he's 37 euros. He had some nice scores last year at Wolfsberger. He has been in the Bosnia squad. He did not play, but he was... he was out of the squad. But he is one that probably will get into that squad eventually. You take a look at... He played left back, he played center back, he played right back. So he's all over the place there. Played everywhere. He had some nice scores for the squad. Will he win it? I don't know. He was on the top 100 Golden Boy, so that's kind of why, he might, by the end of the season, even though he's younger, take over that spot, especially in pressing on loan at Wolfsberger. So another position to kind of take a look at. There's a lot of moving pieces in this team, and it's going to be very entertaining to see who starts where, and especially as there's more transfers coming through. So we'll see what else we got here. Next one up, we have defensive mid. So it looked like he was going to Leeds, but that fell through. So Newcastle's interested in Kamara. I also think he'll probably be transferred by the start of league play, but I don't have a confirmation on that. You take a look; he's 81 euros. I do own one of his cards. That was before all the transfers. I like him here, but if he goes to a big squad, that's going to go down for sure. He put up some nice scores. Can't really be mad about that. 33 starts, 5 subs, nice average. But again, I think he's going to be out, so I'm going to kind of treat him as being transferred somewhere. And another position where you're going to have 2 guys fighting for the spot. So the first guy's fighting for it, Diambu. He is 19 years old. If we take a look at his scores, he started 3 games, 5 subs. So he wasn't a big part of the team, but they had a ton of options, to play there. He's young. He's talented. And if you take a look at his price, he's 0.03. The other guy that could take his spot, he's the older option. He is cheaper on the platform, but he's the older option. 13 starts, 8 subs, but he was on loan at Hartberg. So he does have the game experience, so maybe that's weighed a little bit heavier. I'm not really sure, but at that spot, that's an opening where you could get a cheap guy that plays that position. If Kamara leaves, you just don't know which player it's going to be. So I'm kind of out on that position, but there is some upside for sure. So with all those positions, there's a lot of you don't know what's going on, but for the next few players, there's so much upside. It is amazing. So we have Moritz Kirgard. He is 130 euros as his price right now. Talented kid. Just turned 19. If you take a look at his scores, he had some low scores, but again, he just turned 19. He was 18 last year. Young kid. Played a lot down the stretch especially. He was a sub a lot of the times, but I do think he gets into that starting. The way they play, he will probably move out a little bit further to like that left mid, but he could also be like a left central mid whenever they play a little bit tighter. So I think he's locked in at that position. There are some transfer rumors, but nothing really getting too much. The next one, Nicholas Seawall. He's a stud. He is their stud in the central midfield. 0.188 is what he's going for. Floor price 0.205. He's a stud. Big thing with him, why his price is even higher, is he extended his contract through 2026. He is staying put. He puts up solid scores night in, night out. That's the guy that if you have a bigger budget and you want some exposure, that price isn't that crazy. Limited, it is expensive, but it's not crazy. You're going to get a great player that has the upside to play for the best team in the league. So, I wouldn't personally own one now, but if you have some extra cash, you could definitely go for it. The kind of guy that would play with him, he took a knock, a thigh problem, is Capaldo. So last year, 22 starts, 13 subs. He played the right side a little bit, the left side. He bounced around a lot. He's another guy that's going to be in the squad, but I don't want to go over him too much. 41 euros. He'll play a part. Will he maybe go to that defensive mid? He might as well, but we'll just kind of glance over him. Next one, this is probably going to be their cam, Lukas Sucic. He is a stud. 19 years old, turned 20 in September. Look at his price. 0.245 floor. His scores, he was young. He hasn't had a ton, but take a look at this stretch here. That's something to really get excited about, especially only going up here. Liverpool was watching him, but I think it's more of they want to see him after another year. Some others, they see his upside. Everyone sees his upside. He is a guy that, he's expensive. And if he moves somewhere, he's not going to pay off at that price. So, again, I would watch out for that. He is a stud, though. Next up, we get into our strikers. They play 2 strikers. There's a lot of question marks here. I'm not exactly sure what they'll do. I'll kind of go through their options, and I really think one of these players is going to leave. I think it's going to be the third player I talk about, but you start with Noah Okafor. A lot of talent, 22-year-old. He had a solid year. You take a look there. I mean, look at all those greens. He is in a great situation. I did see some rumors. Forest, Dortmund, but I doubt that's going to be a thing. Leverkusen, they have so many attacking options. I don't think that's going to be a thing. His price is 0.12 is his floor. He is a very talented player. If he stays there, he's going to have a great year. All right, but that's if he stays here. The guy that I invested in, splashed a little bit more than I probably should have, as you can see there, is Benjamin Cesco. I think he is the future. He is the next Holland. I'm really high on the kid. He's expensive, and his scores last year didn't really warrant that. He just turned 19, like Sucic. But he had some solid output games, as you can see. But again, I'm gonna say that he takes a big leap this year. He's not going anywhere, to my knowledge. I think he's going to score a lot of goals. With Adeyemi being gone, that opens up a huge hole, and I think he's going to slide into that position, and he's going to have a heck of a year, playing a lot more, not coming on as a sub 23 times. I think he's going to have a lot more starts, and I think he's going to be the guy that takes that next step next year. The guy that I think is going to be gone is Junior Adamu. So he has rumors to Hoffenheim, Leeds, Southampton, West Ham, Frankfurt, Hertha, Leipzig. He has them all over the place. I don't know what's going to stick, but with that many, you got to think he leaves. He started beside Adeyemi a lot, but again, they kind of rotated a ton. He has a very similar graph to a lot of the other guys. He doesn't have a super high ceiling game, but whenever he scores, that's what he's going to get. His AA is 1.8, not great, but again, I think he's going to be gone in my opinion, so I'm kind of scratching him off. And then that leaves us to our last player. It's Fernando. So he's coming over from Shakhtar, a non-covered league, into a covered league. So it'll be interesting to see if he fits straight into the team. Is he going to be a sub? It says reserve here, but they're just starting. If you take a look at his limited on-site games, you can see he started in Champions League at striker for them in the group stage. He had 2 goals in that group stage. He's going to play a lot. It's just, is he going to be more of that sub role where he does like 50-50 splits starting and subbing? That's why, he's expensive. I don't know. I just can't pay that. I do have a common card of him. I guess that's cool. But that's kind of how they're going to line up, in my opinion. In the comments, if you think or if there's something different, you're more into the Bundesliga, Austrian Bundesliga than me, let me know. But that's kind of how I see them lining up and who I'm kind of looking at throughout. So the last thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to take you through a value. I'm going to say value. Some of these guys are a little bit more expensive than you'd like, but a value team that could kind of compete. One reward in what they have here, but you could definitely make a couple upgrades as a Challenger Europe team. So none of these players, my caveats, none of these players can be on Salzburg, so they're all players that are on other teams than Salzburg. So that makes it a little bit more difficult. You could get some upside guys on Salzburg, but that's kind of the thing they'll do. Whoever the top team is, none of the players will be from that. So here's the team. The lineup floor price is basically 0.3 for the 5 players. If you take a look here, the keeper and these 2 players are pretty much the expensive, and then these are 2 value guys that I definitely think are good values. So let's take a look at each one, and then I know this is a little bit of a longer video. Thank you if you're still with me, and then I'll wrap it up. So Tino Casalli, he plays for Altach. and they were next to last. They barely stayed up last year, but he is rumored to go to Wolfsburger. So the way that I did this, I really think he's going to go to Wolfsburger because Wolfsburger needs a goalie. They don't have a starting goalie right now, which would put him in a better situation. So I'm thinking, and I bought one, I'm thinking he goes there. And the way I built this is with him. If you take a look at his scores, he had some nice scores, but these will go up in a better situation. And then link him with Bumgarner, who's already at Wolfsburger, as your goalie defender stack here. His price is cheap, 0.02. And take a look at some of these upside games, 84 to 80. He had some really nice games. He's very steady. And for that price, you can't really do much better than him in the Bundesliga, the Austrian Bundesliga. My midfielder, another value guy for LASK, Peter McCorrell. We'll go with that. 27 euros, so again, cheap. But you take a look at his price, his points. Very solid. A lot of those green scores for a cheap price. He plays kind of like CDM, Cam. They call him an engine. That's kind of the player that he is. So 2 value guys. The keeper's always a little bit more expensive, but it's not that bad for that keeper. And then my 2 guys that are a little bit more expensive, the spend up guys. So Marco Gruel from Rapid Vienna. I own him as well. I like him. His floor is 0.142, so that's a little bit more expensive that you want to play. But let's take a look at some of his outings last year. So look at that table. That is something of beauty. He did have, whenever he's not scoring, but man, he was just getting decisive after decisive. He had a stretch here, no decisives, decisive. Again, if he gets his decisives, he plays really well. There's 100 spot. Look at that stretch. Really nice. He is under 23 eligible. What's keeping his price up? So maybe his price will probably go down after that under 23 eligible next year runs out. But, I think putting him in this situation would give you a pretty solid lineup. And then our last player here, touched on at the beginning, Sorare of Sturm Graz. So he's one of those guys that gets a decent amount of decisives. I think he had, was he top 5 in goals last year. But you take a look, he's getting decisives. He's putting up those high scores that you like to see. And I think with that, I like this lineup. I think it has some upside to it as well. And I think some of the better situations of the other teams other than Salzburg. So while I could have put a Salzburg team, just a Salzburg stack together, it would have been more expensive, obviously. And that's just kind of some guys that could be under the radar from that league. Let me know what you think about this. Let me know if I can do anything different in the next video in the comments, what you'd like to see, anything like that. I know this is a long video, but it took me a little bit to put this together, and I'm really focusing on every league, and hopefully you guys join me for the next one. Thank you, and have a good one.